Hello, I'm Mark Winter, and you are listening to Verse by Verse. Have you ever watched an illusionist or magician and found yourself baffled by what you just saw? You know what you saw, but you can't figure it out. Las Vegas is a town known for a lot of things, including illusionists or magicians. These clever artists are able to fill large showrooms several nights a week, making millions of dollars, basically deceiving the audience. It clearly has high entertainment value because the audiences continue to pay big money to come see the illusions. Wouldn't it be nice to recognize how the illusion worked? If you just had a certain understanding or insight. Of course, that would remove the entire point of being an illusionist. You know, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, the Apostle Paul writes about an upcoming illusionist that he refers to by a couple of different names. But this particular illusionist would like nothing more than to destroy you and me. In verse 3 of the chapter, we read, "Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day," and that's referring to the return of Jesus Christ, "will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition." So, before Jesus Christ returns to this earth to establish his kingdom and to sit on his throne on the Mount of Olives, many people will be taken in or deceived by someone referred to here as the man of sin or son of perdition. Now, the English word perdition comes from a Greek term that means destruction. So the person described here is one of deception and destruction. In fact, this particular person will even appear to many people to be God. Verse 4 shares the following about this illusionist. He exposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And how is it that he can do this? I mean, how could someone be such a great illusionist that people would actually believe he is God? The answer to that is shared in verse 9, where we read, "The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders." Now, just as a Las Vegas illusionist can make something appear to be a certain way that isn't, simply put, what our eye sees and our ear hears is not accurate, the illusionist manipulates, let's say with sleight of hand, for example, to make something appear that isn't actually possible. The truth is that no matter how much Satan wants to take God's throne, he will never be able to do so, but that doesn't keep him from trying, so long as he's allowed to, before God removes him following Christ's return, as is shown in Revelation 20. So the big takeaway from 2 Thessalonians 2 that we are to be aware of follows what is shared in verse 9. We're shown here a way that we can see through the illusion. I'll read verses 9 and 10 together. "The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception, among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved." And then verse 11 concludes with, "And for this reason God will send them strong delusion, that they should believe the lie." So while we may not be able to get an illusionist to share with us their illusion, God does want you and me to be armed with what we need so that we will recognize the illusion performed on a global scale before Christ's return, should that time take place in our lifetime. The way to see through this powerfully damaging illusion is to have a love of the truth. We do not need to worry about deception at the hands of Satan or any person under his influence, as long as we continue to grow in love for the truth of God. And where can you find the truth of God? Well, according to John 17:17, the Bible is God's word of truth. So if you are like me, you don't like to be lied to. It's one thing to be fooled by an illusionist on stage, but being fooled in a life or death matter, that's not entertaining at all. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, in the same chapter we've been in verse 8, we are told, that the Lord will consume the lawless one with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. So if we don't want to be deceived by the author of this upcoming illusion, then we need to make sure we develop and maintain a deep love for the truth of God.
If you've been enjoying Verse by Verse and want to help the show grow, here's what you can do to get the word out. Wherever you're listening, make sure to subscribe. If you're on a platform that accepts reviews and ratings, those can both make a big difference in helping other people find us. Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.